Installing PCIe adapters and riser assemblies. To install the PCIe riser card on the riser cage, align the riser card with the guide pins on the riser cage and then lower it into the riser cage until it is firmly seated. Secure the riser card with 4 screws. To install a PCIe adapter, if any full-length adapter is to be installed in the riser assembly, align it with the slots on the riser cage and then push the extender in until it is seated in place. Fasten 2 screws to secure the extender. If a slot filler is installed, remove the filler. Align the adapter with the slot and then carefully slide the adapter into the slot until it is firmly seated. Fasten 1 screw to secure the adapter and then close the retainer. Note: depending on the configuration, there might be spare screws from the side of the riser assembly. If necessary, use the spare screws to secure the adapter. For low-profile adapters, install the low-profile fillers by pushing the filler toward the side support bracket and then sliding in the filler until it is seated in place. Lower the side support bracket down to the riser assembly and then push the bracket toward the riser assembly until it is seated in place. Fasten 1 screw to secure the bracket. Note: make sure that the 2 tabs on the side of the side support bracket are seated under the edge of the riser cage. To install PCIe Riser 1, make sure the signal cables of PCIe Riser 1 are routed properly. Route the blue signal cable along the intrusion switch as shown. Route the silver signal cable through the cable wall. Press the cable down toward the system board so that it does not interfere with the memory module slot retaining clips. Connect all the required cables to the PCIe adapters. If the serial port module is installed, connect the serial port cable to the system board. Align the riser assembly with the guide slots on the chassis, and then lower the riser assembly until it is firmly seated. Fasten the 2 captive screws to secure the riser assembly. Guide the blue signal cable into the space between the processor air baffle and the chassis. If applicable, route all the GPU power cables into the processor air baffle cable guide. To install PCIe Riser 2. If the riser blank filler is installed, remove it. Route the cables through the cable clip and then close the clip. Connect all the required cables to the PCIe adapters. Route the cables through the cable clips. Connect the cables to the PCIe adapters. Align the riser assembly with the guide slots on the chassis and then lower the riser assembly until it is firmly seated. Fasten the 2 captive screws to secure the riser assembly. If applicable, pinch the blue touch points on the backplane bracket and then press the internal drive backplane into the slot until it clicks into place. Reinstall the drives into the internal drive bays. If applicable, route all the GPU power cables into the processor air baffle cable guide. Install the top cover. If applicable, install the security bezel.